Hey, welcome back to the Axe Life podcast. I'm Josh. This is my co-host AJ.
What's up?
And today we're going to be talking about what it's like what to expect when going axe throwing. So you've worked and been to quite a few axe throwing venues. So what do you think is the best way to prepare for your time to get the most out of it?
Well, so the best way, honestly, just to getting in the door is reserve online in most places. A lot of times, like during the week, you might be okay for a walk-in, but it gets a little bit finicky sometimes. You really want to reserve online so you can have your space locked out and designated for you. If you just walk in, you always run the risk of, it being booked out, or there's like a league night or something. Exactly. The other place I worked at, we would like rent out the entire building to fraternities and sororities for like 8 hours at a time. And like they're always on a random day of the week too, never like on a smart day like a Friday or a Saturday. So it's always best to reserve online. That way you can just make sure you have your own spot. Not to mention every place that I've been to has had a league night on some random day of the week as well. And so during those times, a lot of places will have reduced or locked off hours specifically for a league night.
Yeah, because ours is on Tuesday where we open the door at 6 and it normally runs until about 9 o'clock. Mm-hmm. And we do all of our league activities during that window.
Exactly, yeah. So you just want to make sure that, you have your time set aside for you specifically. It sucks to like, hey, I'm going to go do axe throwing now, and walk in the door getting all your friends together, and it's, oh, we're closed to the public right now. So reserve online, and that's typically the best way to go. Not to mention, as of right now, I think we have a bit of a promotion or something going on.
We do. Actually, for online bookings only, if you book for a Wednesday, a Thursday, or a Sunday, you can get 15% off. And that promo code is SPRING in all caps, and it'll be SPRING 15 2024.
Awesome.
So it'd be a nice way to kind of encourage the online bookings, and then that way you don't have to risk of we can get you in about 5 hours.
Yeah, that's never fun. But I think the structure of what we're going for today is, so we're gonna we've already said, hey, book online, but from the places I've all been to, it really sucks when the coaching staff is not up to par in my book. I like to think we have a very good staff here at Augusta, but the problem is sometimes I've been out and they're like, hey, here's an axe, don't kill yourself, bye. And then like, okay, so now we're by ourselves for the next hour and a half or hour.
And it's frustrating because it's like, I don't want to just throw and see what sticks, no pun intended, but I want to get good, get it on the board, and then within that hour, if the group I'm with gets comfortable enough, we could then start kind of competing a little bit.
Exactly.
Keeping score.
You want to shorten the time between walking in the door and having fun, and a lot of places don't do a really good job of coaching you, so we're going to try and help you out a little bit here. If you have a coaching staff immediately where you are, wherever you decide to go, definitely listen to them, because they're seeing you eye to eye, person to person. They can directly coach, like, hey, I'm seeing these problems with you. But I've heard stories of there was a lady who came in last week who was up from like New York or something,
I think it was
like
Maine,
that.
But
yeah, one of those northern weird places. And they're like, yeah, it costs like $60 to throw axes, and they gave me an axe and never talked to me again for the entire hour. I'm like, That would
she was very
angry.
frustrated about that, so she was very happy about how we had provided the service. She's like, you guys got me sticking right away. We were able to have fun because she was here visiting family. Made it a good time. And a lot of people are kind of surprised that for our location specifically, obviously each venue is going to be a little bit different, but we allow 10 and up to participate. So a lot of people are like, oh, this is a family activity that we can do with the kids, and it's a lot of bonding experience with
100%.
that.
Yeah, like I've run birthday parties for kids. I've run for like business ventures and like team building exercises. Like my graduation night from college, I actually went to the axe place I was working at. I taught my grandma how to throw axes. Quite literally, anyone can do it. It's fun. It's a bit finicky at times, but I'd say when it comes to like weird things to do on a night out, it's not the worst or hardest thing to learn.
Yeah.
So for basic coaching, that kind of stuff. Most places that when you walk in the door straight up, you'll see some sort of like line marker on the floor or something like that, some sort of anchor point to at least start from. That's sort of like the best place to. So like once you get there, then you need to figure out like, do I want to throw one hand or two hands? Because one hand is pretty straightforward. You throw with one hand. A lot of people, when they go for two-hand throws, though, they tend to stack them on top of each other as such. And
like a baseball bat.
Yeah, yeah. And I've seen this work quite well, but also it tends to pull across your body sometimes, so it will go wide. At my last place, I nearly took out an entire wall by throwing sideways to prove a point. But enough of that. But yeah, so if you want to throw two hands, I recommend your dominant hand at the very bottom of the axe, the other one directly on top, then you go straight over the head. So that's sort of how you hold it. But the important part is that yeah, you always want to start at the same place when you're throwing an axe, because it's easier to sort of like change your position on the field, if you will, rather than change how hard you throw. Because all the places I've been to, you want the axe to spin one complete rotation in the air before it sticks into the board. And so it's easier because as you throw harder or softer, or you move closer and farther away from the board, it changes how fast or how slow the axe rotates or how much time it has to rotate.
Plus drop time.
Plus drop time and all that other weird stuff. So it's easier to kind of find an anchor point, get your grip right, and then start moving forwards and backwards based off how the axe hits the board. So what I've seen is that if the axe is hitting into the board as such, with the head hitting directly into the wood, that means the axe is over rotating, and you need to move closer to the target in order to shorten that time it has to rotate in air.
Yeah.
And conversely, if it hits on the pommel or the back half of the axe, you want to take a step back so that it has more time to spin, because that means if it hits like that means it's under rotating.
Yeah, because I kind of like to tell people, like you're saying, if it hits the head, slowly scoot back like quarter inch at a time, and then you can kind of gauge how much rotation based off your specific throw, because everybody does throw a little differently. And then once you fine tune it, so like for me, if I break that line in half with my foot, then it's same motion, keep it repeatable, and as long as I send it straight to the board and I'm not doing crazy angles, then it should bite every time, because people don't realize there is a little bit of taper on the blade. So if you come just at that wrong angle, it will kick out to the side.
Exactly.
So
if it's what I've noticed is that if it hits the board blade first and then like rotates out, that typically means you bent your wrist in some way, shape, or form, or spun the axe in air. I know that when I first started throwing axes, I had a really big problem with that. As a baseball player, I like to throw axes like I throw a baseball. And so I had to mentally teach myself to keep your arm straight. I personally imagine cutting between my eyebrows, and that tends to work out quite well for me.
Okay. See, I'm military, so to me it's very structured on how we do things. So I just do the straight arm, straight back, straight forward, kind of knife hand or shake hands with the target. Mental exercise, if you would.
Exactly. I mean, that's also a really great point to sort of talk about, is that we throw wildly differently between the two of us. And if what we're saying here doesn't work for you, do what does. Everyone throws a little bit differently. What we're talking about here today is really just like the bare bones basic, what we teach in order to like get across the most success in the most amount of people. So every little thing is going to be a little bit different for you, but those are some of the basics of, hey, if it's spinning this way, move forward. If it's spinning this way, move a little bit further back. If it's rotating out, keep your arms straight. And that's about it. Couple things to note, though, is if specifically the axe is not spinning enough, so that means you're hitting on the pommel or the back half once again, and you keep moving back, and you're like already like down the hallway out the door, and it's still not working. Sort of as like a last resort, personally, I recommend that you either drop your pinky off the axe or the pinky and the ring finger. That way, it gives it a bit more speed, a bit more flick to it. But that should be your last resort, because if you start off with that, it's going to spin really fast and it could go a bit crazy.
Well, and piggybacking off that is, if you release too early, you're not going to get the weight of the axe head to spin. You're more going to dart it, and then it's going to slowly start spinning.
Yep.
So then you got to get people comfortable with coming a little bit lower on their release prior to letting it send. Now, one thing I will say is, make sure when you come, you want to get the best time out of your time. But if it's booked at your specific venue, that means you may actually not get the full amount of time. So keep in mind to research parking nearby. If it's in a busy downtown area, you may want to show up a little bit early just to make sure you get a spot and you can get there in time, so you have your full window to have a good time. But also, make sure you have closed-toed shoes. I don't know if that's required everywhere. We require it, but we want everybody to come with most, if not all, their fingers and toes, and leave with the most.
I mean, you signed the waiver either way, so you should be good to go. Nothing bad could possibly happen. But yeah, typically closed-toe shoes are the way to go. One of the places I worked at did not have a closed-toe shoe policy, and a lot of people showed up wearing, sandals, Crocs, or well, Crocs are fine, but like open-toe sandals and like slippers and stuff like that. And I'm like, if it works for you, fine. But I mean, it's an axe throwing place. There's gonna be wood chips literally everywhere. And even if you're not hitting your foot with an axe, if you step on a splinter the size of my entire arm, that's not going to be a fun time.
Yeah.
So definitely recommend closed-toe shoes just for your own sake. But if you don't, then have fun, I guess.
Now, I do kind of want to talk, like you were saying, about throw technique, and I've kind of coined the lumberjack method, where you do the two-hand over the shoulder. Like, you're going to get a weird angle. It can be successful, but it's best to just kind of come straight up over the head
100%.
and then straight forward.
Those are like techniques that like don't work pretty much. My personal favorite is I call it the shot put, where someone like I'll have an axe over their shoulder, and then rather than like swing their arm out to throw the axe, they'll like sort of like go like this and try and push it away from them almost. Yep. And it's because they're scared of the axe. From what I've seen, it's like, once again, you sign the waiver, nothing bad could possibly happen. Just put your arm out, swing down. Just it's a bit of a violent analogy, but I always say, imagine you're hitting someone in the head with a baseball bat, and then just let go at eye level. And for whatever reason, that little just sort of like, hey, throw a bit more violently, what with mental pictures, tends to work 9 times out of 10. I don't know why, and I don't know what that says about society, but it works.
So, what would be the biggest common error that you think is with axe throwing?
Ooh, not drinking enough.
A little bit of liquid fuel.
Oh, 100%. You got to get into that golden zone of inebriation. I mean, I know I play pool better when I drink. I know I play
age appropriately.
Age appropriately. I mean, get a Coke or something. No, but when it comes to actual throwing, like biggest common issues is not being willing to listen to your coaches if they are actively coaching you. Again, they can see they've been doing this. They can see you like face to face. They've been doing this for a while theoretically. And they can sort of, like, hey, move forward, do this, do that. And from what I've seen for the people who actually do actively coach, it tends to work most of the time.
Well, and showing your appreciation to your expert, like, hey, thanks for that tip. You explained it in a way that I could understand, and I saw immediate results. Mm-hmm. Like, that helps the experts get better at coaching a variety of people, because we have that small, generic, this is not the rule, but the basic guideline to get everybody going as quick as possible to have a good time. But sometimes you do have those outliers that they needed a lot more one-on-one fine-tuning. So making sure to show appreciation to your expert, I think it is also a huge thing to help us get better in our profession.
100%. Yeah, if your ex-coach helps you out, it's it's please say thanks. You're like, hey, you helped me out. You did a good job. That means a lot to us personally. You're like, hey, like, I know that I did a good job there. I helped them have a good time. That's a good feeling for me as well as a coach. So,
now, I will say, we like here at BroadX, we actually generated a little challenge that the customers can do, and a lot of them really enjoy it. So It's a small challenge that you can do with your expert. It's best score out of 5 throws. Mm-hmm. And if you win, you actually get a I kicked axe at BroadX t-shirt. And people love, I got something that you had to earn.
Oh, 100%.
Like, I can't just buy this. But then we don't let them go away empty-handed. And I've had people come back wearing their I got my axe kicked, consultation prize. And they wear it with pride, because I've got one customer that comes in, and he's got 2 or 3 of them on, and he's just like, I'm ready, bro. Like, we're going to do it again.
I have the scars to prove I'm ready.
He's letting everybody know.
But, it's a fun time, as long as you're approaching the throwing axes with, I'm willing to learn. I'm willing to sort of like edit how I throw to make it work. Once again, whatever works for you. If it doesn't work for us, but it works for you, go for it.
That learner's mindset of like remembering, like as kids, the best way to learn is to play with something and see what the rules are for what you're doing. And then also that growth mindset of, I'm doing something I've never done before. It's okay if I'm not performing as good as I want it.
Yeah, 100%.
But then as you see that improvement, it's going to be so much more rewarding.
Oh yeah.
So like we actually have a few things like when your time's up, we're not just hey, thanks, have a good one, get out. Yeah, like, you know, we have to clear the lane because we do have other reservations. But it's like, hey, don't feel rushed. You know, we want to enjoy your drinks. Have a couple rounds post game. We have foosball and darts set up that are free to use, and then we also actually have dagger darts.
They're cool.
Which I'm not a dart fan. Nothing against the sport. It's just not mine. But when you add just under 15-inch throwing knife, and I don't know if it'll show, but there's a little vertical line on this blade. So this is the only point that we count for scoring. So it's got to be a lot more precise, like daggers. Or darts, sorry.
They're both, which is crazy.
It's a great thing, you know, because the axe throwing is an hour activity. We offer this in 30-minute blocks, and then that way if you don't have enough time to axe throw, or if you have time and you want to add it on top, you can make it a 90-minute event. And then we also do have the Chop Shop, which is, you know, our in-house merch store. Yeah. We sell things from hats and shirts, trophies, a set of throwing knives, axes. A lot of people are kind of curious. They're like, trophies? Why do you have trophies? And it's like, well, one, of course we have trophies. We've had customers come in and buy trophies for their friends that won because they're like, oh, you did good, you earned it. But then we also do like private parties or corporate team building events. And then we also have league. Now, we do have our league trophy on display on AJ's side that at the end of the 8-week league, you're bracketed up, you have one final tournament, and then the winner gets the big trophy.
I mean, yeah, this whole axe throwing thing is about having a good time with your friends, right? It's a very social thing, and so the more little games you can add to it, the better. Like if you're going with a buddy to learn, you know, meet new people even. I've had so many people have like, you know, first dates at axe throwing venues, that kind of stuff. It's, you know, slightly physical. It's, you know, it can be as competitive or relaxed as you want it. It's just a good time, and so like the venues typically have like scorecards, or, you know, you can make it a challenge between, you know, you and whoever you're throwing with. It's just a good time all around.
We use dry erase boards at each lane. That way you can keep track. Is there anything you want to say to kind of wrap up?
Throw safe, tip your bartenders, and check us out online. If you guys enjoy this or have any ideas, feel free to reach out in the comments of this video, or if you have any other questions or anything like that.
Well, the comments would be great because then it can help us kind of figure out what content to create, because we don't want to be a channel that generates content for content's sake. But if we have a fan base, if you would, or an audience that is curious about the sport or wants to learn trick shots or things of that nature, safe trick shots, you know, things of that nature.
I can teach the dangerous ones. We'll have like a second channel for the ones that are banned from store. I have 2 that are banned from store, so
yeah, that's fun. We'll have to get some bad boards up just for you to do that.
Here's what not to do: wink, wink, nudge, nudge. Yeah, that'll be a fun one.
Well, thank you everybody for tuning in. Again, like, share, subscribe, leave a comment if you enjoyed it, and have a great one.